So in this video, we will be looking at other types of tags in a form. I'm going to set up a new file, call it more forms.html, and set up the body. So I'll wait for that to open. Let's go ahead with the first type of form tag, which is radio buttons. So let me type what that looks like. Get my form tag. So we're looking at more form inputs, and type input. So instead of text here, we'll type radio. And that would give us this circle. So I'll follow it up with what we have been typing in the previous video, ID. Let's say we want different types of programming languages. So let's say HTML. Name equals to fav lang. Value equals to HTML. So above here, let's just give it a heading. Favorite language. So we have our basic inputs. The only difference is that instead of text or email like we did in the previous video, we have the type of radio. We can also have a label, and the 4 will be tied to HTML, and here we would write HTML. So that is what would show here. So now let me explain some of these attributes. The ID is identifying the inputs and is also linking this label to this input tag. So the radio, the type radio, that's what gives it this circle here. The name favorite language is a grouping of the grouping of all the inputs. So the subsequent inputs that I would have will have this name favorite language, which will tell the users to choose, tell the users to choose between this grouping with the name favorite language. It will get clearer as we go on. Now this value HTML, whatever is clicked here, this is what will be sent to the server. So if I click this, the value, what we have as the value here is what will be sent to the server. So let me make another option. I'll just copy this and change it so that we move faster. So for this label, I'm going to write CSS. Leave it as radio, change this to CSS. And this to CSS. So I'm still leaving this favorite language because all these inputs are in the same group of favorite language. So we want to choose between these languages. And I'm going to give it the last one for the JavaScript. Okay, so we have HTML, CSS, JavaScript. For radio input, you can only select one option. So I've selected HTML. If I decide to select CSS, it shifts because you can only select one option from this list. This is possible because we've given this name attributes the same name in all three options. So this tells HTML that all these three options belong to the same grouping. So once I select something here, it registers as the only option. Let's give another example to show how this works. I'm going to give, I want users to be able to select their favorite fruits. So I'm still just going to copy this so that we move on quickly, but change the options to fruits. So I'm going to select maybe mango. Leave it as radio button. The ID is mango. Favorite fruits, so I'm changing it. And here, what this value, like I said, is what will be sent to the server, changing it to mango. So I'm just going to copy this, that's Control C, and do the same thing here. One more. So we have all this here. Let me expand this. So here, if I select apple, we'll see that the others are not selected. If I select mango, the others are not selected. And to show that these two groups are different, if I select HTML, it doesn't change the mango. And if I go here to select orange, it doesn't change anything in the HTML. So we can see we can only select one thing in these two groups. So this is JavaScript and this is orange and this is Apple, this is CSS. So that's basically it for radio buttons. You can only select one thing in a grouping. I'm going to go on to another type of input tag, which is checkboxes. Now, one thing I must say is that in HTML, you can have comments in your code. Now, this comment will not display in your browser. So you make a comment. Comments are just for like communication between programmers, which won't show in the browser. And you do this by your open tag, exclamation, and your dashes. So this just pops up. So in between here, I can type anything. Let me type check boxes, and you can see, refresh the browser, nothing shows here. So this will just remain in your VS Code. So for checkboxes, they are different from input tags in that checkboxes, you can select one or all options available to you. So an example, a typical example of a checkbox is you see it in to-do lists. So let us make a to-do list, and let me have my p tag and say to-do lists. Okay, to-do is one word, to-do list. So now let me explain this action here. We've been seeing it in all our form tags, this action attribute. This action attribute is where you send the link to the server. So when you type submit, all your values will be sent to this link, which is usually the server. So right now we're not working with servers, and that's why I have left it blank. So we come here back to the inputs. I would be typing check box. So input is going to give me this squared checkbox, and for the name we would have various to-do lists that we would be carrying out. Just give me 1 second. So the first one, I will type in bed for the name, and for the value, remember this value is what will be sent to the server. I'm going to type make bed. Nothing is going to show yet because I have not made the label. The label is what shows in the browser. So I'll go in and type in a label, and remember I'm tying it to bed. Okay, let me add an ID here. ID bed. So I'm tying the label to the bed. So using my for, and I'll type make bed. And we have that option here. So like I did for the radio tags, I'm just going to copy this so that we move quickly. Don't want this video to be very long. Next option would be wash dishes. So I'm going to type dishes here. Wash dishes. Leave it as checkbox. So we have the second one, and the last one So the last one will be, let's say, cook. Increase this, and we have three options here. So typical of a to-do list, you want to tick everything on your list. So if I've made my bed, I'll tick it. If I wash the dishes, and if I cook, I'll tick it. So everything in a checkbox input can be ticked, unlike your radio buttons where it just provides one option for a list. Then finally, I would want to revisit my text inputs that we had earlier gone through in the last video. Just want to create another form, and in the text input form we always had labels, but you can have a text input without a label, and let me just show you what it will look like. So this is the text input, type text, name, let's say email, value, let's say email, value email. So instead of having a label like we had here, we can have place an attribute called placeholder. Now in the placeholder, we are going to type in what should show here. Okay, let's note this. So in the placeholder, this is what it will type in the label inside the rectangle, inside the input. And when we want to put in our data, like email at email, we can see that the placeholder is no longer there. See, it disappears, but if we clear this, it appears. So instead of having a label tag, we can have a placeholder and still have our other attributes. So this still works with, let's try the password, and we can type in placeholder password and type password, and we see that it still works. Yes, it works now. You can see it's still encoded. So that would be all for this video, and see you in the next video.